500 years before Christ, a man walked from town to town across ancient China, trying to get anyone to listen. For 13 years he traveled. He was ignored. He was mocked. He was driven out of cities. He was poor, often hungry, and never once held the government position he was trying to find. He died believing he had failed. 2,500 years later, his ideas run through the legal codes, the educational systems, and the cultural DNA of more than 1 billion people. His name is the most referenced in Chinese history. His name was Kung Qiu. The West would call him Confucius. He was born in 551 BC in the state of Lu, in what is now Shandong province. His father was a minor official who died before Confucius was 3. His mother raised him in poverty, teaching him that education was the only way up. He mastered the 6 classical arts by his early 20s: ritual, music, archery, charioteering, calligraphy, and mathematics. He became known as the most learned man in Lu. But China in the 6th century BC was not a peaceful place. The Zhou dynasty had fragmented. Warlords controlled the various states. Courts were corrupt. Officials bought their positions. Soldiers fought endless wars for rulers who cared nothing for their people. Confucius looked at this chaos and asked, why? His answer was stunning in its simplicity. Because people have forgotten how to be people. The problem was not political, it was moral, it was relational. Human beings had forgotten their obligations to each other, the obligations of parent to child, ruler to subject, husband to wife, elder to younger, and friend to friend. They had replaced those obligations with self-interest. The solution was equally simple. Remember. He called this remembering ren, usually translated as benevolence or humanity or love, the most important virtue, the foundation of all others. Ren consists in loving others, he said. But ren wasn't a feeling. It was a practice. You cultivated it through ritual, through learning, through constant self-examination. The Analects, the record of his conversations compiled by his students, reads like a long, winding conversation between a master and those trying to understand what it means to be fully human. One student asked, "Is there one word which may serve as a rule of practice for all one's life?" Confucius said, "Is not shu such a word? Do not do to others what you would not wish done to yourself." He said it before the Sermon on the Mount, before the Talmud codified it, before virtually any civilization had formalized the idea. He also said, "Learning without thought is labor lost. Thought without learning is perilous." He believed the superior person, the Junzi, was not born superior. Superiority was achieved through sustained effort, through education, through the constant practice of virtue. Anyone could become Junzi. Birth meant nothing. Character was everything. This was radical. In a world of aristocracy, where your worth was determined by your blood and your clan, Confucius insisted that the only meaningful hierarchy was moral. The greatest person in the room was the person who had worked hardest to be good. He tried for years to convince the rulers of Lu to adopt his principles. They listened politely and did nothing. He left and spent 13 years wandering. Wei, Chen, Cai, Chu, dozens of courts, the same message, the same result. Finally, at 68, he returned home to Lu. He gave up on politics and turned to teaching. He compiled and edited the classical texts. He taught anyone who would listen. Wealthy students, poor students, it didn't matter. His school was the first meritocratic educational institution in Chinese history. He had about 3,000 students before he died. 72 mastered his teachings completely. He died in 479 BC at 72 years old, believing he had accomplished nothing. His student Zigong wept for 6 years by his grave. Within a century, Confucianism was the dominant intellectual tradition in China. Within 2 centuries, it was enshrined as state philosophy. It would remain the foundation of Chinese governance for 2,000 years. His ideas spread across Korea, Japan, Vietnam. They shaped how millions of people understood family, education, government, and self-cultivation. They are still shaping them today. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it. This is knowledge. He spent his life teaching what he believed. He changed the world without ever knowing it. There is a lesson in that, too. You don't always get to see the harvest. Sometimes you plant the seeds and walk away, and the world blooms long after you're gone. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Begin. Carry the stones. The mountain will move.